If you've been looking at the videos on my channel recently, you've seen a plethora of fun starter teams and concept starter squads that I have been making. In today's video, I'm going to have a look at some of the starter squads you guys are thinking of making. In the build up to 25, while 24 is sort of in the dust now and they're not releasing content for it, we are spending our streams over on Twitch and TikTok. Links to both are down below if you want to come and join us for those. We have been making a bunch of starter squads together, sort of looking at cards, looking at teams, looking at cool combos of players and things. But today I'm going to have a look at some of the teams that you guys are concocting and putting together. If you want to submit a team for some future videos between now and the release of the game, Discord is also in the pillar link in my bio. Join that and then put a link to the Easy SBC. You can share your squad and you can put a link to it in that. And I'll basically put a message in the Discord when I'm looking for some teams and I'm about to record a video, and then you guys can do that and I'll pick some from those. But without further ado, let's jump into some of the squads that you guys are thinking about doing for the start of the FC25. Okay, this first squad is from SocialZap in the Discord, and he has gone with a bit of a hybrid here. He's gone with a Premier League and Bundesliga hybrid. Now, first and foremost, he's appeasing me here by putting a Berriese in the team, so it's already a 10 out of 10 just because Ebbs is in there. But all jokes aside, a Berriese, I think, firstly, did deserve a higher rated card. Secondly, it's not a bad starter card. He does need a chem style for sure to make the card viable, and he for sure also needs an Evo or two down the line just to make him better, or potentially a special card, that sort of vibe. But I'd say you're probably looking at Catalyst, and he really is a cam over a centre mid in this formation, if this is the formation you're looking to start with. That's the only thing I would say. So having him sort of burst forward and then having a Saboteur and a Chan cutting inside, being those central defensive players in that midfield kind of will work for you. One of the first things I will say is this will be a pricey squad. There is no two ways about this. The cheapest player in the team probably is Eze. Outside of that, this is a very expensive starter team. I would say that Van de Ven is going to be pricey. I will say as well, you can see these prices above the players. That is based off of the meta rating on the Easy SBC website. I would take these prices with a pinch of salt because, for example, Saboteur is going to be a lot more than 1.5k. Schlotterbeck is going to be a lot more than 9.5k. So I would kind of ignore those prices and use a bit of like sort of common knowledge with it and stuff. Don't expect this team to be 130 or 1,000 coins. This will be very expensive indeed. But I think Van de Ven and Schlotterbeck, you're easily starter centre backs. You're looking at above 70k for the pair, I would honestly say. The fullbacks, I'd say Udogie is one of the best looking left back starter cards in the Prem at the very least. And so I think he's going to have some serious value to him. Frimpong, also going to be expensive. Obviously the physical stat of Frimpong is quite low, but thankfully his stamina is very high, so it's super easily boosted with a Sentinel, for example, and all of a sudden it doesn't look that problematic. So Frimpong going to be expensive. Chan and Saboteur are both going to be very pricey as well. And that front three, I mean, 89 pace being the slowest of the three of them with Rashford and Marlon, it's going to be a pricey front three as well. Honestly, outside of Abire, and maybe Vicaria. Vicaria could be cheap because we don't know what keepers are going to be like, what keepers are going to be good and bad. Also, he has got the perfect link to Udogie as well, so there is that. But this is going to be very, very expensive. It's a lovely, lovely team. I've got no qualms or issue with the team, but it's going to be expensive. One thing you could maybe look at doing if it is going to be out of the budget in the end, I don't know if you're looking to spend points or what, there could be some cheaper options for some of these cards. Like with Schlotterbeck, you could put in like a Sula. He will obviously be probably not quite as good as Schlotterbeck, but he will be a downside cheaper. With Frimpong, you can change him to another player, like from another team, but I think he'll need to share a nation with someone in the squad so that he's still on chemistry, or he'll need to obviously be still from Dortmund. And I said Bayern Munich, from Dortmund. It's a bit tricky to give exact values, but as much as I think this is an incredibly good team, I do think it is very expensive for a starter team. So lovely looking squad, but it's going to be a pricey one to attain. Up next, we have MinecraftMan with this starter team here. He's got with a bit of a multi-league hybrid. Quite a few different leagues going on in there. A couple of players off chem because of that, but we'll sort of get to that when we get to that. First and foremost, Oblak is probably, regardless of how good or bad Oblak's going to be, Oblak will be expensive just because of rating. At the start of the game, he could end up being very, very good. I know that you can kind of look at it and say, yeah, some great stats, kicking's a bit low, but whatever. In my opinion, I don't know about you guys, I don't really kick with my goalkeeper very often. If I am, I'm playing a short pass from a goal kick. Otherwise, I tend to throw the ball out. So kicking stat for me is kind of a little bit null and void personally, but looks a great keeper. Does have the far reach playstyle plus, which is obviously new for goalkeepers this year, having playstyles and things, but could be good, very expensive. Obviously in this team on 0 chem is one thing worth bearing in mind, so that's something worth considering. Maybe finding a keeper that gets some chemistry for people. The back line, you've got 4 pretty good looking players here, 3 of which I think will be particularly expensive. One will have a bit of value. Nuno Mendes is going to be astronomically, got there eventually, expensive. He's always good at the start of the game. He always has some value because of that. Ligue 1, so got some decent links from the French league. Obviously, Portuguese, got some decent links nation-wise. And PSG have got some lovely players again this year. So, again, got good links from that. So, he is going to have some value just because of his links and because of how good the card looks. This one, I'd say probably 20k. Again, might be a little bit of an undercut on this one. Akanji, I'd be surprised if he's cheap. It's a lovely-looking card, Akanji. This is kind of very similar to the last squad in that this is going to be expensive. Now, I know a lot of people say, like, you build starter squads and they go, oh, well, you're just never going to use that team. For me personally, the way I'm looking to build a starter team, because I also do my QPR Evo squad on the same account as my RTG, it's one account, all of the stuff that I do. I'm going to be careful with my coins so that I can keep coins for Evos for my QPR team, because I like that to be my main team, because I like to have fun with the game. So Akanji for me will be pricey. So if you're looking to spend coins and get these bigger cards early doors, then for me, Akanji looks a real good shout. It's a lovely, lovely starter card, but he will be expensive. Same can be said for Bremer. I think he's one of, if not the best looking centre-backs in the Serie A. Tomori with, I think it's been a slight downgrade, I believe, like pace and a couple of stats on his card from 24, but Bremer looks unreal. I mean, realistically, you don't really need to boost the physical stats, so a shadow is a perfect play here. If he's on 3 chemistry, it's 90 pace with 92 defending. It's a lovely, lovely card. But for that reason, I think he's going to be upwards of 30,000 coins. Again, it's another expensive one. Kadioglu, I think, will be pricey. Realistically, this is a really nice starter card. It's a right back that sort of went under my radar, at the very least, a little bit when we were looking at some initial looks at teams. And then some people kept mentioning him, and actually looking at his card, he looks pretty decent. The 4-star means he can play the left back or the right back role pretty well. Right back's more preferred because he's right-footed, but he is capable at left back for sure. But I think he'll have some value just because actually it's a very nice card. A little bit tricky with getting some links in, but one of those links he's gone here with is Calhanoglu, who, in my opinion, isn't a hugely bad card with maybe a slightly different mix of midfield. Playing him alongside a pretty physical, pretty bulky Loftus-Cheek, I think is a good play. And then I'd say your last midfielder needs to be just a bit different from Calhanoglu, and I feel like Bernardo Silva and Calhanoglu are very similar. You're kind of relying heavily on Loftus-Cheek doing the heavy lifting, when actually Calhanoglu's got better defensive stats than Ruben. So I'd say you kind of need an out-and-out DM to then let Ruben be that sort of roaming, holding player, if you get what I mean. Let him sort of do a little bit of box-to-box work and let Calhanoglu be that sort of creative midfielder. So maybe a slight imbalance in the midfield, but I do like the look of it. It's 3 very decent looking cards. If Bernardo Silva and Calhanoglu, I'd maybe pick one and then pivot someone else into someone else. Doku will be very expensive. There's no 2 ways about it. He's rapid. He's got a really nice card. If you just whack a Deadeye onto this card, it's an insanely good looking starter card. 92 pace and 86 dribbling with 79 shooting and passing, and the shooting stats are good in the stats they need to be, and the passing stats minus crossing are good in the stats they need to be. So it's a lovely card. I'd be very surprised if he's not upwards of 10,000 coins. That would really surprise me. Chloe Kelly on the right hand side, another really nice looking card, 4-star, and again just a really, really good starter card. Good stamina, really nice dribbling. The balance is good, not amazing, but the rest of the dribbling stats are solid. The passing stats are phenomenal, and the shooting stats, especially with this boost, are phenomenal as well. Really good card, but again, I'd be surprised if she is even remotely cheap. I'd be very surprised. And Gabby Jesus is a player that I've said at the start of the game, I think he looks really, really good and usable. Again, I don't think he'll be cheap, but I do think he's a nice, usable starter card. So again, another very expensive squad here. I'd maybe look to take out a league or two, if I'm being entirely honest with you, just to secure up a little bit more chemistry. You know, you could run like a Donnarumma here and then maybe find an Italian player to go in for Çalhanoğlu, or if you're looking to maybe change out Bernardo Silva and go with somebody slightly different, it would need to be Prem in that sense. But I would say a little bit of a tweak in that sense. Otherwise, the squad's really nice. Again, it's just going to be a pricey one. Next, we have Christoper with a pretty good looking starter team here. I'll be honest with you. I think there are a couple of spots to look at, but I will take this with a small pinch of salt in the fact that I'm assuming Christoper might be a Man United fan and has got Garnacho and Menu in there. For that reason, and for that, I'm not going to say don't use them, but I would say that they will need some Evos potentially, or hopefully one of them gets like a special card or something after a little bit of the game coming out. But there's a real mix in this one of some players that are potentially there for reasons that you like the card or you like the player in real life or that kind of vibe. And then some players that are going to be very expensive. So starting off Vicario again, it's not too much I can say on Vicario because I don't know how good he's going to be in game. But again, seems to be a relatively popular choice keeper-wise. Diego Dallo, I think, is a phenomenal looking starter card. Can play on the left or the right. I think right is slightly preferred to him, but it's not a bad little card there for me personally on Dallo. I think it is a lovely looking starter right back who will have some value. I'm expecting him to be just below 10k, anywhere between like 4 and 8 for the first week or so. Just while the prices sort of settle themselves out and find a place. But I think he'll be expensive for a bit and then will drop to be, you know, a handful of 1,000 coins. Van der Ven, as we said before, I think he'll be very expensive. I think 30k plus on Van der Ven. Anyway, 45 could actually be a pretty good prediction on that one from Easy SBC. Very good looking starter card, but again, very expensive. Lacroix, again, will be pricey. The thing with Lacroix, by the way, low stamina, just bear that in mind. For a centre-back, it's not the end of the world, but he will be expensive. 6'3" with 93 pace, or 88 pace, sorry, it's 90, I thought it was 93. That's ain't just 88 pace. Very expensive card. But looks good. I would say looks good and just will have value. Same to be said for Balde. Balde is going to be expensive because look at his card. It's a lovely starter card. Really good. With a single chem style, already he can have 99 pace and it will be day one of the game. Crazy, but he'll be expensive because of that. He will definitely have some serious value. Also some nice links. There are some good Barcelona cards, one of which is Yamal. In my opinion, now Yamal's going to be more than 750 coins. Bear that in mind. In my opinion, call me crazy, it's not that I don't like Yamal's card. It's that for the price I think he's going to be, I think there are potentially better options. I don't think it's a crazy card. What I will say, the shooting stats for the Deadeye are beautiful. The passing stats for the Deadeye are beautiful. The pace is not too bad if you're happy to let him be a slightly slower winger by adding a Deadeye card to him. And then the dribbling's pretty good as well. Balance isn't too shabby. Agility's lovely. Ball control and dribbling are lovely as well. Physical, he just isn't, alongside his very low stamina, is one thing I will say that will be a problem. He'll be a card that is not going to do you 90 minutes very often. I think the value of this card compared to how good he'll be in game will be comparable. I think it won't be that great. I think after an Evo or two, if there's an Evo that he eventually gets a big boost of stamina and stuff, this could be a really nice card. I sadly don't think he's going to be that great at the jump. Garnacho and Menu, we've already sort of touched on. I think they're cards that are cheap starter cards for if you're a fan of United or particularly Menu or Garnacho. Whacking them in the squad, I don't blame you. Fair play. And again, I've got to respect it. I'm going to run a full QPR team, which isn't exactly going to be meta, is it? Llorente, lovely card, but again, he's going to be expensive. He's not as good at his card as was in 24, but I still think it's very good. The versatility as well to play right mid, right back, centre mid, and right wing. He's going to be pricey. So yeah, it's going to be a very spenny squad, but it's going to be a lovely card. And the front two very expensive strikers. We've already touched on Rashford. I think he will be expensive because he's a very nice card. Even though he's got that big downgrade, it's still a lovely card. And he does fit into the predictions of that new Evo, the first striker Evo. Isak's going to be ridiculously, criminally expensive. He is going to be just through the roof price-wise. I'd be surprised if the first week or so he is anything less than 50k. That would really surprise me because it's such a perfect card. 4-star, 5-star, 6'4" with that pace, that strength, that balance, and agility and the dribbling. It's such a good card, and for that reason, he's going to be extraordinarily expensive. So lovely team, a nice little mix of some like cards that are good without being crazy value, some cards that are good for a little budget and again are build upable with evos and things, and then some very pricey cards, but a good squad. And the last squad of today's video, name on Discord I can just see as M. I think it is just a little concoction of letters, so apologies that I'm a little bit useless to remembering names because I probably have seen it before and forgotten it, and for that I apologize. But M, this is his team. It's a really nice starter team. This, out of the three of them, I think is probably going to be the most budget. There are still definitely some pricey players in here, some that we've already touched on, with Rashford, with Doku. Dallo will have a little bit of price to him, but I can see a good chunk of Portuguese and Liga Portugal players in there. Looking at Costa, Inacio, Silva, Sanchez, and Goncalves, all in that Liga Portugal, and they're all lovely cards. I think Goncalves is criminally underrated by a lot of people in this game. With a hunter card, that card is naughty if you're looking to play him as somebody who's going to get some shots off. If you're looking to mainly focus on the passing, get a catalyst on him, and he looks just as incredible, to be honest with you. So realistically, I think Goncalves is a phenomenally good looking starter card. Inacio, I think, will be a slightly cheaper version of St. Just, and if you want my honest opinion, I think a slightly better version of him. I think St. Just is absolutely rapid, really quick, but Inacio's stats are better overall, with better stamina, good general strength, good defending, good pace, 80 pace on his base card anyway, without any chem stars is already really nice. And then you've got Antonio Silva as well. Just as this is me being a real loser, have them that way around because Inacio's left-footed and Silva's right-footed, but that's me being a complete waste of space. Again, I think Silva's great. I think his card is pretty much on par with Inacio. They've got the same pace, pretty much the same defense and physicality. They're lovely looking cards. Costa, we have no idea how good he's going to be, but he's by far the best looking goalkeeper card in the Liga Portugal, and actually looks pretty decent anyway. And with some really good Porto and Liga Portugal links in the game this year, very worth your while. Rafa, one thing I will say, you do have an extra Portuguese player in this squad. If you are looking to do this many Portuguese players for Rafa's sake, you can actually take out your right back there. I would then move Dallo to right back, and then this can be any Premier League left back of your choice, so you can kind of then work on whatever budget you want. If you're working on a little bit of a budget, my suggestion to you would either be Rico Henry, who looks pretty good. You could go Robinson, who looks pretty good, or you could go with Kadioglu. If you went with Kadioglu or Robinson, then you need the manager to match them nationality wise. Otherwise, all they've got to do is either play for a team that's already in the squad, so United or City, it's United or City because those are the two Premier League teams you've got in there, or share a nation. So again, could be Portuguese, could be English, could be Belgian. You get the drill. That would be my small suggestion to you. I don't think Semedo looks bad. I just think coming in with like either a Livramento or again a Rico Henry, that kind of vibe, I think will just ever so slightly do you better. I think it'd be a slightly better job for you, but I'll throw Livramento in there for now because I think he does look pretty good. Again, good pace, good defending, decent physical. I'd say in all honesty, you want to go with an anchor, which takes him to 87 pace, 79 defense, 78 physicality, and that split on the physicality is very nice as well. But again, overall, I would say this is the best starter team in regards to budget. The midfield won't be cheap, but we haven't got many of these players that are going to be astronomically high. Rashford and Doku, I think, are your priciest two players. But overall, you're probably, if you ignore Rashford and Doku, I'd say you're probably looking at maybe a couple of K for a lot of these players each. Like I think Nunes, Livramento, Renato Sanchez, Antonio Silva, Rafa, they'll start off at being a few thousand coins each, looking at like 3 to 5 for each of them initially, and then a lot of them will drop. Nunes might end up being like 1,000 coins. Renato Sanchez might end up being about 1,000 coins. Costa, Inacio, Dallo, Goncalves, I think will stay a little bit higher up in price just because of how the cards will look. Like I said, Inacio and Antonio Silva are very similar, so they could sort of match prices quite a lot, and then Doku and Rashford will be expensive, but that's my thought on this team. I think out of all of the squads, it's the best starter team based on budget and value. But all the teams today, I think, were pretty good. And that is where we're going to round up today's video. If you want to be included in future ones between now and the release of the game, then do comment in the Discord. Again, I will post in the Discord saying gonna film a starter team review video. Send your links, which again, it's in the top right. It will say share. That will then give you a link. You then post that in the Discord with like @ing me below or reply to that comment, and I will take a handful of them and give some quick reviews on them. But leave a comment down below if you enjoy these kind of videos. Like the video as well if you want to see more of them, and hit that sub button and turn on notifications to be told anytime that we upload a video. But for now, guys, thank you for watching. I've been Tom. You guys have been awesome, and I'll see you soon. Look after yourselves, and of course, wash your hands. Take care.